overestimate what the final design cost would be. So we'd rather come next August.
Hey guys, are we good now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you good?
Yeah, it wouldn't let me, after my network dropped, it kept the meeting up, but it didn't recognize me anymore. I think we're golden.
Okay.
Now. Sorry.
Good to go.
Let's give,
Can you
we'll
hear
give
me?
it a minute for some people to join. Again, we had several more than what are on the list right now. So
Yeah.
Joe, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear whoever was speaking there. Billy? is that you?
Yeah, okay.
All right. Let me wait for, okay, Matt, start sharing. Let me know when you're all set up, Matt.
Yeah, I'm 100% ready.
Okay, let me just get this.
Somebody's screwing there.
All right, those. All right. So with that said, let's call the December 17th, 2020 monthly meeting to order with a pledge to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag
of the
of
United
the United
States
States
of
of
America,
America,
and
and
to the republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
for all.
girl, but I don't care. If you have a boy, that's what I want.
Okay, please mute your phones or
Yeah.
unless you're speaking. Thank you. Okay, would you like to call to roll call, please, Leanne?
Lynn Falacco, Joe Marmello,
Here.
Matt Crone. Matt,
Present.
thank you.
mute.
Joe Pucko,
Here.
Jen Farley, Shane Balliet, Bill DeFrancisco.
Here,
Okay, thank you, Leanne. Acceptance of the minutes. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes? There were several different minutes we had to look at. So everybody okay with them?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion by Mr. Palco, seconded by Mr. DeFrancisco. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. All right, any citizens petitions? Open up your mic and speak if you do have a citizens petition. I'm hearing nothing. Everybody okay with no citizens petitions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, before we get started into our regularly scheduled program here, as you can see that I am hosting the meeting because Lynn is not present, and Lynn has, we normally would put this at the end of the meeting. However, I'm going to do it at the beginning. Lynn has resigned her position. I'm not going to go into detail because I don't have the letter in front of me right now, but just so you are aware, Lynn has resigned her position as a council member at this time. So we're going to proceed with the meeting, and that's basically, at this point, we would be looking for possible people to put on council. We are requesting that you write us a letter of intent if you would like to be on council or know someone who does. We would like a letter as to why they would like to be on council, and to inform us of their interest, okay? Something more than one line. I'd really like to be on council. Why would probably help a little bit too. So anybody interested, please let us know. Next. Secretary and tax collector reports.
Hey,
General?
Joe, before we do that,
Yes,
I mean, do we want to make a motion to accept the resignation? Attorney
Well-
Barranco, I think it just takes effect after a certain period of time.
45 days. If we don't take action, basically what the statute says is it takes effect upon the date tendered or upon vote of council to accept the resignation, whichever's latter. And 45 days is the max. So we could let it run for 45 days to see what type of interest we get to fill. For
I
next
was,
month's meeting.
and yeah, I'm sorry, we would, I was just going to wait until the end because that's normally what we would do, but I wanted people to be aware of it right from the start. So we can make the motion now if somebody wants to make that motion.
I'll make it with regret.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it with regret.
Roll call Leanne on this one, please.
Joe Marmello,
Yes, with regret.
Matt Crone,
I'm going to say no because I just hope something changes, and either way, we have our next meeting around the corner.
Joe Polko,
Yes, with regret.
Bill DeFrancisco.
Yes, with regret.
3 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the motion passes.
All right, so do we want to do anything officers wise?
No, we'll have to sit down and talk about all that. We have dire issues that are more prevalent at this point. So let's move on to what were we? Secretary and tax collector reports, please.
General check deposits, $12,423.76. EIT distribution, $52,815.35. LST distribution, $3,546.53. Total checking deposits, $68,785.64. Tax collector deposits received, $2,007.86. General, general fund beginning balance, $9,914.51. General fund ending balance, $34,395.17. Garbage deposits, $4,052.67 for an account balance of $57,029.88. Stormwater deposits, $4,189.50 for an account balance of $97,179.09. Liquid fuels accounts balance, $32,792.27.
Everyone good with that?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to accept. This is Matt.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Second? Anyone?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, moving on to payment of bills.
Yeah, so I just want to throw this out here. Leanne didn't have some of the bills in hand by now, but these are all generally types of things that we know roughly what they're going to be. We know they're coming. So it's your direct energy bills, your PP&L bills, your Penn Data bills, telephone bills, the AM Trust, that's the workman's comp, the Capital One bill, that's, whatever we put on the credit card for petty cash type stuff. The one question I had, Leanne, is the Verizon for more than 1 month, or am I just out in left field? Is that what it is?
Nope, that's normal.
Okay. So that covers the general fund. There's really not a lot of expenses on here this month beyond what we normally have, except we have the manpower, which is for the extra help that we have in the office to work on the 2018 audit, which I think is getting very close now. And that's that was all the invoices. Energy Tech, we had voted in a previous month to get the heating fixed, and they came in basically within what the estimate was. So 1246. Leanne has heat now, actually too much heat sometimes. It's like a sauna in there. But they did come back and adjust it, and they said that should normalize with time. So that's the general fund stuff. On the rec board, so this is out of the rec board account. At a previous meeting, we had voted to do something with the gutters down there. That's something that we ended up doing in lieu of getting brand new gutters put on and things like that, is that the streets department built a PVC pipe gutter and downspouts on the backside of the pavilion, so on the basketball court side. And they did a really nice job with it. And it seems to be, keeping the water off of that one corner of the building that we were worried about. So that came to $270.79, even though we had said, we'd spend $500 or more. We just have to get that that building squared away at some point. And stop me if there's any questions, because I'm just going to fly through. Liquid fuels, our normal street lighting, $44.89. Bradco, we had to get a sensor valve for the dump truck. Mark's Wholesale, John told me what it was the other day, but it was something for streets. Eckley Asphalt, so this is basically like our last bill for our patching that we did, and they're also going to buy some cold patch at some point in time. And ballast was for the dump truck for a total of $52.90, $269. We have enough to cover those in liquid fuels. Garbage is our normal county waste, $18,750 every month. Stormwater is our normal 2 loans, $83.50, $155. And the previous bill is Riley, which I still don't have the paperwork that I was looking for on that. So any questions on any of the bills?
I have none.
All right, if there's no questions, then this is what my motion would be. It would be to pay all of them except for the previous billing. And I would like to say that we will go ahead and vote to pay for the missing bills, but they'll be reviewed by the check signers for any discrepancies. And if they're wildly out of whack, we won't sign them. But otherwise, instead of pressing them off till next month, we'll just vote to pay them. And thus the total is going to be a little bit higher than this $23,005 on the general fund.
Yeah, I'll second that because we know we're getting them. So I'll second.
Yeah.
Well, somebody else second that if they're in agreement. I don't want to second it.
I'll second it.
Okay. Billy, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay,
All right.
so payment of bills, we're good. Anything else, Matt, for that before we get to Mayor's Forum?
No, nothing else on the bills.
Okay. Mayor, are you with us? I believe you're with us. Says Mayor.
Yeah, I don't know if this is working or not. It's acting up, but
Yeah.
I have nothing at this time, Joe.
Okay, thank you. We heard you. Thank you very much. Comments, recommendation, Mr. Engineer, Dominic is with us. Do you have anything on the streetscapes project or anything else in addition to that?
Thank you, Joe. I do want to give you an update on it. All the concrete work was completed and the hookup into the electrical panel in the pavilion was completed. They're waiting for delivery of the lights, which should come fairly soon. There's a few outstanding items that have to be cleaned up. This weather, of course, is going to delay the final completion. The contractor is going to bill about 90% of the project. They just sent me the bill today. I approved it with comments. I did not get the signed version back yet. So after any questions are asked by council, I am going to send, let me rephrase that. After any questions are asked by council tonight, at this point in time, I plan on providing a letter of recommendation for their second payment tomorrow, as soon as I get their final invoice in their amount. And for council's consideration to approve their final bill tonight based on the recommendations of my letter, which will be coming tomorrow once I get their number in.
So Dominic, it's Billy. When do they think that they're going to get this all wrapped up?
They need about another day to, I'm going to say 2 days to install the lighting. Let me pull up their, I'm going to pull up their invoice here. 1 second. I'll tell you what they have to finish. I don't anticipate it being completed before the end of the year. Which again, I'm going to go into say that I'm going to notify the county tomorrow. So right now, they have to finish restoring the pavement going into the playground, of course, because the sidewalk elevations are different. They did not get to the pipe by the YMCA. Or the inlets, and then they did not finish the brick paver reset yet. And then, of course, they have to finalize all of the lighting hookups. That's going to be pretty much done before the end of the year if the lights come in. They were supposed to be in the week before, or excuse me, the first week of December. However, due to COVID, the manufacturing of the lights and the painting and the galvanizing was delayed. So the shipment got delayed. So Billy, to answer your question, it's short. They are going to be about 95% complete by the end of the year or whenever the lighting is put in. And they're going to end up probably finishing up in the spring with the paving. And I will confirm with the funding agency, which is the county through community development, that everything will be okay and paid for any costs incurred at in the beginning of 2021.
And what are they asking us to, their second bill, you said?
Their second bill, they did not put an amount on it because they just sent it to me this morning and I made a couple revisions and they were not able to get it to me before the end of today. So let's see what their number was. I'm going to give you a ballpark of what it was. Let me tell you here. I apologize. I do not have it here as quickly as I wanted to have it here. Hold on a minute. I'm looking through this payment application here. Okay. Oh, no. Hold on. I'm going to just open it up on my computer instead of looking through my emails. It will take me a second here to open it up. A few seconds.
All right, so while we're waiting for that, I just wanted to throw a couple things out here. Is I mean, Dominic, isn't the county going to come back and tell us that the money has to be spent by December 31st? Because that's always been the deal.
No, we'll be able to probably get an extension since we're like over 90% complete, and due to the weather and COVID, I believe we'll be okay. So
Okay, because to this point in time, DCED has said no extension, period. Now, the weather situation did change. We started the project, so that possibly changed. But I just don't have a lot of confidence that they're not going to come back and tell us that we have to spend this money.
understood. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have that all confirmed tomorrow, before any costs are incurred after December 31st. And we'll just have to see how we're going to end up, how we're going to handle it. So I'll carbon copy yourself and Joe on the email, okay, that I sent to them. So the last bill that we did, the total contract is for about $285,000. The last bill that was certified was about $115,000. I'm going to say the next bill is going to be in the neighborhood of about that amount with a 10% retainage. So again, they're going to be really close to being 90% spent, 90 to 95% spent on this job. So that is going to be the amount that I'm going to certify based on once they give me the numbers, and then I just go through it with my spreadsheet and just check them, and then I'll just send my letter of recommendation for payment. So in order to not delay this until 2021 in January, I'm suggesting that council consider with the concurrence with the solicitor Barranco on the phone, approval of payment application number 2 based on the recommendation of the engineer's amount in the engineer's letter.
That's
gonna
fine.
be-
Great. So,
Okay,
yeah. So then my question to that is, are we protected, Attorney Branco, through the performance bonds? Because what I absolutely don't want to have happen is us pay this money out for services which have not been rendered and things that have not been delivered, and then the ball just keeps getting pushed out and pushed out and pushed out, and here we are, in August of next year or something like that, and it's still not done. I mean, can we put a contingency on it, weather pending, that it's going to be completed by such a date?
Yes.
Yes, and I just want to clarify, Matt, that I am not approving any payment for work that is not complete. Okay? So my letter of recommendation is for work that is complete, not work that is gonna be complete.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay, so just to clarify, which Matt's asked the questions, and that's what I was going to allude to, is we are paying them for work that has been completed. Attorney Barranco has stated that we can put a time limit on it because we know how construction people can be. They get their money and they run. So any work that's completed, we're paying them for. If it's not completed, we will have a timeline on that, on the things that weren't completed. So, and we're able to do that legally. So pretty much in a nutshell, that's it. And then you will also let us know that that we can do this past the January 1st. We'll have something in writing saying, hey, yeah, you can do this and pay them with the money from this year. You can, due to the weather and COVID, we'll let you use that money next year. We'll get something in writing from the county.
All right, but how long do we want to actually drag this out?
Well, it's not an
Well, I
issue
mean-
of how long we want to drag it out. I mean, we can think about that after we get these 3. I mean, if we're
Well, I think a realistic date is probably June 1st, right? Because who knows if there's still snow on the ground in April.
right, and that's fine. But right off the bat, 1, 2, 3. 1, we're paying them for bills, and you affirm this for me, Dominic. 1, we're paying them for work they've done. Correct.
Correct.
2, we can put a time limit on when we're going to complete this for next year, correct, Mr. Baranko?
I'm assuming the documents permit us to do that.
Okay, so
Dominic, I don't have that paperwork in front of me, but I think what Dominic's asking for is a motion to permit the bill to be paid upon his certification that the work is, quote, completed.
well,
Yes.
the work, you know, we dug the ditch, we're paying you for doing or digging the ditch. The next thing is we're going to affirm that they will, we need another ditch dug. So next year, we're going to allow you to do that, but we're not paying you for that. But we can tell you have to have that ditch dug, as Billy and maybe Matt actually said, by June 1st, we have to have that second ditch dug. So that's kind of what I'm saying is, one, yes, we're paying them for the ditch that they finished digging. And now we have until June 1st to get that other one done, or we're going to have a problem. That's kind of, you know, that's the way I understand it.
Let me just go back. Let me go back to Dominic. Dominic, what did the contract call for as far as completion date?
They were supposed to be complete by now. Okay, so I believe, to clarify the Joe's and other council members' concerns, the recommendation, excuse me, the vote by council could be based on the amount of work completed and recommended by the engineer, as well as funding, the amount of funding that could be released from the funding agency, that we will not exceed what the funding agency will concur with. So Joe, if you understand what they're saying is, I don't have anything in writing from the county, but the county was indicating that they wanted this work completed 100% and billed by the end of this year. Okay.
Right.
However, we are.
Please mute your phones or your computers.
Anybody who just joined, please go on mute.
Okay. So I lost my train of thought there with that. So the funding agency will more than likely, from my experience, extend the minor amount of work to be completed in the spring of 2021, because this project is 95% complete. Okay, so I will get all that confirmed, and I will not be making any recommendations for payment to the contractor after the end of this year if the borough's not going to get reimbursed. You follow me? They're under contract now to get the work done, so they're getting the work done. And
Right.
if they didn't get it done in accordance with the timeline, then that will have to be worked out at a later date. But I do not foresee an issue.
So why don't we just further qualify the motion that the funding agency's got to be on board as well, in addition to yourself.
Correct. Yes. What's good?
Okay, so we would like to make the motion that we will pay for work that has been completed, and any future work with the funding, they will be paid with the funding agency being on board. Is that kind of sum it up? Or?
Yeah, with the extension on the completion date.
Yes. So does everybody agree with that? Anybody want to make that motion? Is anybody out
I guess
there?
unfortunately we have absolutely no choice in the matter. You know, I don't understand how they're asking for payment on a bill that they weren't able to provide in a timely manner, and we're voting on an approximate amount. So again, as far as the check signers go, we'll take a look at it, and it better be in the ballpark of that $115,000. So that being said, that's fine. I'll make this motion.
Do we have a second? Billy, Joe? So I know that you're with us.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so no one wants to second that motion?
I'll second it on the contingent that we're going what our solicitor advised us to.
Okay, roll call, Leanne.
Joe Marmello,
Yes.
Matt Crone,
Yes.
Joe Polko,
Yes.
Bill DeFrancisco.
No.
3 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the motion passes. Next, oops, I muted myself. Or is there anything else, actually? Do you have anything else, Dominic, before we move on?
The LSA grant was submitted on November the 30th. Let me go over that. You want me to go over that, how it was submitted, or do you want me to just move on?
Do whatever you think we need to know. I mean, if it was submitted properly, then, and you mean what we submitted for?
It was submitted properly for renovations for the Borough building, the new
Okay,
Borough building.
okay,
Okay, so it was submitted and accepted, and good luck to the borough on the grant.
Yeah, now
Well, thank
Dominic, this is Matt. So just to be 100% clear, we had tried to move on the utility truck for the fire department. So that ultimately did come in as a second project, right?
Correct. And that was,
173,000.
and from my understanding, the fire department did submit that, and I'll let Chief Sapansky elaborate on that on his, when it comes to his turn. Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to ask you, and I'm going to ask the chief as well, because I'm hearing about emails going to different parties, and let's just all get on the same page and I'll have the same paperwork in place as soon as possible. If there's anything that's going to the chief, please send it over. Dominic, if you could give us I think you sent over the original application, but I don't know if we got the updated one to include the fire department piece of it. Just so that we have everything on record and we don't have to go chase it later.
The fire department piece was a separate submission by the fire department. It was not included in the Borough building LSA because it was like separate. It's like a separate scope of work, so it would require a second application.
Okay.
So,
and I think the chief is actually out plowing streets for us right now, so I'll get with him just so council's aware. Go ahead.
Matt, I'm here.
Oh, hey, sorry, Joey.
Yes, we submitted it. The county, however, placed it under Freeland Borough as project number 2, and I will be the primary contact for that project, and that's to replace the utility truck. And there was an email followed up through Leanne, myself. I had to respond if I was okay as being the primary contact for our project.
Okay. All right. Let's just all keep aligned. That's all, just to make sure nothing gets lost in the mix, please.
Yep. We're good on our end.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Dominic, anything else?
no, that's all, Joe. Thank you. Unless there's any other questions.
Any other questions from anybody on council? All right, we'll move on to the solicitor, Mr.
Very
Brandon.
good. We have on the agenda the budget this evening. If that's a go, as far as a affirmative vote, we need to move forward at the same time and thereafter with the tax ordinance that was duly advertised as well. And that's all I have on my list.
Okay, and just to keep people on council and, well, everybody who's listening, I was speaking to Attorney Joe about the ordinances we had discussed at the work session, And there's several things. It's a different kind of animal, I guess I'll say. It's a lot longer of a process to change something in the zoning ordinances. So what we need to do is kind of take a look, and this was his idea, not mine, to probably take a look at all the things we need to get changed and then do it all at once instead of trying to piecemeal it. Probably be in our best interest. So we'll talk more about that at another time, but just so you're aware that if you do have a zoning book, look it over, see what you think about it. If you don't have one, get one and look it over. There's actually a lot of pretty cool things in there that I found that are really good for this town. So that, we really didn't know existed. So if you could take a look at that, then we can kind of come up with a game plan as to how we're going to go about doing that. So does anybody else have anything for the solicitor?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the solicitor, this is Matt. Did we have any interest, or did your office reach out to any banks for the TAN? Because now we're getting into the time frame where, do we have to go chasing them?
We didn't receive anything. Everything should have been generated right to the municipal building. That was the advertisement.
And Leanne, you didn't receive anything, right?
No, I did not receive anything.
So basically, nobody's interested in giving us money as of right now.
Where's your depositories?
It's local bank right in town.
I'd reach out to them. That's what we've done in other municipalities. We dealt strictly with the bank that we have our deposits in.
Yeah, well.
Well, that's what we're going to have to do when we have to do it. So anything else for the solicitor?
Yeah, so does that, well, no, I just want to follow up with that. So does anybody want to talk to that bank? And I have another one in mind that I'll take on contacting as soon as tomorrow.
Matt, our bank that we deal with, they're doing some change of hands right now. So I don't know of anyone else within our bank that we deal with who can offer what we were offered previously because of the change of hands.
I mean, change of hands in the title of the bank, or change of hands in like they're just putting, their new El Presidente.
Different people in different positions.
Okay, so the name stays the same, but different people in different positions.
Correct.
Okay, well, get me some names if you don't mind, since you seem to know. If you would, I'll contact our bank and talk to them. That's okay.
Not a problem.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so if we're good there, Joe, Billy, you have anything for the solicitor?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. So next, committee reports, budget, finance, and administration. Matt?
Yeah, so the budget was advertised. The budget was available for review in the office. I don't believe anybody came up to ask Leanne to see a copy of it. The budget was posted on the Freeland Borough Council official.blogspot.com site since the night that it was advertised. There were about 109 clicks on it, supposedly, or that could have been one guy 109 times. But again, I never received any direct feedback on it. So at this time, I'd like to make the motion to pass the 2021 budget as advertised.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Leanne?
Joe Marmello,
No.
Matt Crone,
Yes.
Joe Poco,
No,
Bill DeFrancisco.
Yes.
2 yes, 2 no's.
Mr. Mayor for the tiebreaker?
I will vote yes due to the fact that it increases spending for police officers.
Motion passes. The mayor breaking the tie.
All right, next order of business, motion to advertise the 2020, or I'm sorry, to adopt the 2021 tax ordinance as advertised. That increases the millage by 1 mil. I would just like to add, after going back and looking at the numbers, I'm very confident that this time next year, there will not be any need to raise taxes again, barring anything catastrophic coming into play or anybody coming up with any kind of a really expensive idea or anything like that. In fact, if we shop for some things insurance wise and some other things, saving money on our electric bills and things like that, there's even the possibility that it would actually be in the realm that we could reduce taxes next year. We had a lot of extra bills that we had to pay this year. We had 2 contract negotiations that happened. We should be in a much better place. So I'd like to make the motion to adopt the 2021 tax ordinance with the 1 mil increase.
I'll second you, Matt.
Billy second, was that Billy?
Yes, Joe, it was.
Okay, so thank you. So roll call, Leanne?
Joe Marmello,
No?
Matt Crone,
Yes.
Joe Palco,
No.
Bill DeFrancisco,
Yes.
2
Mr.
yes,
Mayor,
2
you're on.
no.
Thank you. Sorry, Leanne. Mr.
That's
Mayor?
okay.
Okay, could you just give me a brief of what I'm voting on here? I was away for a second.
Yeah, sure, Mr. Mayor. It's the tax ordinance. So in order to balance the budget, there was a 1 mil increase for this year. So this is just the administrative piece of the budget that was just passed. So if it were keeping the taxes the same or lowering, it would be a resolution, but it's an ordinance as a result of the fact that it's an increase.
Okay, I'll vote yes on the ordinance.
So tax increase passes. Next, we have TAN update. Did we already have the TAN update?
Yeah, we kind of got into that. So let me just get my notes before I forget, because I will. Thanks. And that's in the amount of $100,000 as advertised. No surprises there. Pretty standard issue. Okay, the next thing that I have is the 2021 meeting dates, since we do have to advertise them and advertise them for the whole year. So what I did is I just basically kept the same cadence that we're on right now, where it's the third week of the month. Third Thursday of the month is a work session. Fourth Thursday is a regular session. The only conflict that we would have under that cadence in 2021 is Thanksgiving in the month of November. So they would be 1 week earlier, just like this meeting here is 1 week earlier than it normally would be. So based on some of the discussion from council, I guess what I'd say is we could just take a straw poll initially based on the feedback. So do we want to have work sessions in 2021? I say yes.
Well,
I'd say no.
Well, I don't think it's a negative thing to have the work session, but I would prefer, as it had been
I'll
done.
get into the next thing. I'll get into that next. So now we just need to say whether we're going to have them or not.
Well, I mean, if I don't want them if there's one every third week, but I want them if there's one the same night as the regular meeting. So that's, because it's just that's the way it was always done until we ran into a glitch with who was running the situation. So, and then it changed back.
All right.
Really
So
no work
my
session.
concern with doing it in the same night is that if there's a question that has to be researched, there's no way when you're switching from the work session to the regular meeting, there's probably a 5-minute break and nobody's going to go out and get any answers in that 5 minutes. So whatever question was raised at the work session is almost automatically not going to be eligible for the voting meeting, and it's going to get pushed out into the next month. So it has to be on a different night as far as I'm concerned. It could be one day prior or 2 days prior. I think the week works nicely right now, like we have it. And, it's a work session. There doesn't necessarily even need to be a quorum or anything like that. So if it's a matter of time commitment and things like that, if people make it, they make it. But I think it worked out really well for us this year. And we actually had to lean on it when it came to insurance questions and things like that.
Well, and I understand what you're saying, but there were so many times that we said, well, we can't vote on this now. We'll vote on it next week. And we didn't have to do a thing. So it's very rare that we have something that we need to research. And there's nothing that has ever been that I can recall. And I can't remember everything that's so pressing that has to be done within a week, that it can't wait until the next. It's worked for, years, many years that they did it this way. So that's, my stance on it. So any input from Billy and Joe at this point is very much welcome.
If it's something pressing, we could always have a continuance to the meeting. We've had them in the past also.
Yeah, I'd rather stick with having the work sessions.
Well, the work sessions, and again, I'm not in disagreement with having a work session where you can talk things out, but I just think it's unnecessary to have them to go up there for 20 minutes and talk. And sometimes they're 2.5 hours. That's true. But then 2.5 hours, and then you run into a meeting 1 week later. And this makes it kind of tough too. We're also, if we do go back to, after Zoom, we're going to go back to having 10 people at a meeting, which I think we can have 10 people there now, but maybe it'll go to 20. We're at least lessening the amount of time we're contacting people if we're only going there once. Maybe an hour.
Yeah, but in that same vein, though, the same thing, the flip side of what we're doing is we're basically telling the public that once a month is all that we have for you to come and talk to us. Not that there was any public input tonight. So I wish there had been a lot of public input before I said this. And I didn't like it when council switched to the same night. And then there was confusion because sometimes it was a work session and sometimes it was a regular meeting, but it always started at the same time. I really don't want to see that happen under any circumstances where somebody doesn't, the work session's supposed to be at 6 o'clock and the regular meeting's supposed to be at 7, but everybody decides that, there's nothing for the work session tonight, so we're just going to start the regular meeting, and somebody walks in an hour and they miss the meeting. So,
well,
I just want to do it the right way.
We're adults. We say if you can't tell time, it's 6 o'clock, the work session starts. And if you want to be there, you want to be there. People who are generally interested, I can see them on this list right here. They show up. So it doesn't matter whether it's the general regular meeting starts at 6:45 or 6 o'clock. If we're starting at 6, they're here on time because they have a general interest and they want to. And they're the same good people that show up all the time. And we have a few extra even here. So at 6 o'clock, if you're there, the problem is, and see, you weren't on, and what happened was, and you went to all the meetings, most of them anyway. The problem we ran into was the person running it didn't know the difference between the work session and a regular meeting. And it really, that was the whole issue, because it was always work session. And then after the work session, you have the regular meeting. Then we continued that. And at one point it switched back from work to what we're doing here. And then we decided it was going to be work session, regular meeting again, just like it had been for many, many years. And at that point, the person running the meeting just didn't know how to say, hey, we're in our work session now, let's talk. And basically it really, and in fact, there were a couple of meetings where it was just work session and it ended up just kind of transforming into a regular meeting where they were voting. So it really.
Right. And to go back, Attorney Barranco, does it matter what time the meeting starts? Because these are advertised meetings. So if we say work session is going to start at 6 o'clock, are we allowed to say regular session will start right afterwards? Or are we supposed to designate a time when the regular meeting is going to happen? And if we just decide to bag the work session and roll right into the regular meeting, are we in violation?
You normally advertise a specific time under the Sunshine Act. So work session starts at 6 or 5. Regular meeting starts at 6 or 7, whatever whatever you deem appropriate, if you're gonna do same night sessions. But yeah, you can't morph a regular meeting from a work session. Work session is work session, regular meeting is regular meeting.
Right, we'd close out the work session but that's what they did. We wouldn't do that. And I've already seen it advertised where work session with regular meeting to follow. If you want to put 6:30 and then it doesn't start until, hey, that's good. If it doesn't start until 7 o'clock because the work session ran long, that's okay. But if we finish at work session at 6:15, then we just wait till 6:30 to start the regular meeting. But I'm asked, the input from Joe and Billy is, also crucial because they're going to be dealing with this just as we are. So.
I mean, my motion is for it to be on the screen. And it sounds like there won't be a second for it. So I'll defer to everybody else.
Well, I'd like to make the motion that we have regular meetings and work session on, well, I don't want to make the motion. If somebody else wants to make that motion.
I'll make that motion that we have the work sessions and regular meeting to follow. Same night.
And I'll second it.
All right, so you have to tell him what the dates are.
Well, the dates you had listed for our works or our regular meetings.
So work session would start at what time and regular meeting would start at what time? That's what you need to incorporate into your advertisement.
6 and 6:30.
Perfect.
And I seconded the motion. All those in favor, roll call, Leanne.
Joe Marmello,
Yes.
Matt Crone,
Absolutely not.
Joe Poco,
Yes.
Bill DeFrancisco.
No.
Two
Mr.
yes,
Mayor?
two no.
Mr. Mayor, keep interrupting you, Leanne, sorry.
It's okay.
I'll make the motion to have them the same night.
Okay, the motion passes that the meetings will be the same night, work session at 6, regular meeting at 6:30. Dates, I will get you the dates that Matt had listed. And I can't open that email up to show you right now because I'm on a VPN and it won't allow me to do that.
It's the fourth Thursday except for November.
Okay, fourth Thursday every month except for November. Thank you. All right, let's see, where are we on the agenda here? Okay,
Just 1 second here. We remain with Highmark. It changes to the Blue Care Custom PPO, $500, 0%, 320, 40, 60 at a cost of $78.99.91 per month, which the total is the budget number, actually. So we probably should have done this earlier, which is approximately $95,000 for the year. This is significantly lower for the borough than it was in 2020. It does introduce a deductible of $500 for individuals and $1,000 for employees. The other component to this is the vision, because it's always health and vision. And the vision one that comes along with that is the same one they were on this year, which is the Fashion Advantage option 1. Monthly cost of $48.21, which comes to, I had that math, 48.21 times 12. Sorry. $578.52, which fits in with the budget numbers that we have. I know there was some interest in another plan. That plan is $30 of savings per month total, which is not nothing, but I don't know if it's worth switching from Highmark to Geisinger plan. And I also didn't see anything when I looked at it today related to optical. So anyway, my motion is for the Highmark plan that I cited earlier and continuing with the Fashion Advantage one for the vision.
That's the 78, 99, 91, right? Right, you're showing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and yeah, and like I said, that, you know, I'd love to save that $360, but it is a pain in the neck to switch all this out if you're going to the doctors. So for $30.
I'll second it.
Joe seconds, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Great. Okay, stormwater fee is next, I believe.
Yeah, so the budget is actually based on a reduction in the stormwater fee. It's okay if that's not what ends up happening, but it does, you know, it's just more income if it doesn't happen. So my proposal for the stormwater fee for next year, as of this time last year, we were still paying on 3 loans for stormwater. Now we're down to 2 loans for stormwater. So I'd like to see a $3.50 total deduction or reduction for citizens. That amounts to, over the course of the year, a $42 decrease in what they're paying for stormwater, which would do some good to offset the tax increase. It actually cuts it about in half for the average resident. It would be a $2.50 deduction from the reduction from the borough's part of it, and removing the $1 for the Freeland Business Development Authority. So that's my motion at this time. The total would then be, Leanne, help me out, $14.50 minus $3.50 is $11.
Do we have a second?
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
second
second it. Oh, all right.
Did it?
Joe and I did at the same time.
Yeah,
so.
either or, it don't matter.
Okay, I'm gonna say no, and my reason is, well, I believe also that the Development Authority may have it in their right to still charge people, but we'll have to look into that with the attorney, and not at this time. Joe, we'll look at that later. Secondly, there's a lot of stormwater that isn't complete in this town and needs to be, because we've got a lot of basement problems, a lot of runoff problems, and it's not going to get any better. And plus the fact that when the state comes down on us and tells us we have to do more nonsense that we had to do when we did this, we would have a nice little kitty waiting for us to take care of it without having to take another loan out. So that's why I will be voting no on that.
So Attorney Barranco, I think there was an enabling ordinance for the fee to the Development Authority.
Yeah.
I haven't managed to track it down yet. So obviously that would be something that would have to be repealed.
Repeal
order
or
to
revised
actually
or
do
amended, yeah, that's correct. It would have
So
to be
does that
revised somehow.
Does that preclude us from acting on that portion of it tonight?
You could make the motion to go ahead and move in that direction as far as amending or revising that ordinance, assuming it's out there. But we got to track that down, obviously.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion with a second.
And well, roll call Leanne on this one, please.
Joe Marmello,
No.
Matt Crone,
Yes.
Joe Palco,
Yes.
Bill DeFrancisco.
Yes.
3 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the motion passes. Anything, and that's good for budget and finance?
Yeah, the only other thing that I would mention is we had a little bit of a snafu with the life insurance. That's, we offer life insurance to our 2 bargaining units as part of the contracts. And we ended up with every single employee, but some of the employees had 2 policies, one with one company and one with another. Some of them only had one, but we went back and reviewed it relative to the contract. So what I did is I sought out proposals from 2 companies. One of them's local, one of them's the existing company that we have a policy with, in order to get the right policies in place for the right people at the right amounts. Unfortunately, I only received one of the proposals back at this time. We're still waiting on the other one. The one we're waiting on is for the existing company. Now, normally this would have to be handled on the anniversary date, which is January 1st. But they've given us written authorization that we could make changes after the January 1st date. So I don't have anything to make a motion for at this time or anything. I just want folks to look out for it for next month so that we could get that straightened out once and for all.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's see, next, if you're through, police, and do we have any police with us?
No, they were working, moving cars today, and they're off duty at this point in time after a long day.
Okay.
I did not receive anything further.
Okay, so codes, and I have a list here. If I mean, for those of you who, instead of me going through this, Matt, you want to?
Yeah, Kenny ended up with 19 incidents over 16 hours for the month of December.
Are you sharing
And,
it? Okay, I was going to share it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, if Kenny's is 19 incidents over the course of 16 hours for the month. I don't have Kevin's.
No, I don't.
I don't, oh, wait, wait, what am I looking at? Am I looking at yours or my, okay, there's mine. Ken Wenner. I didn't get Kevin's either. So needless to say, they've been out and about because I've been talking with them, and we're working on a couple of things we talked at the work session. They're working on regarding some nuisance properties, so to speak. So, I mean, they're doing what they can in the limited amount of hours that they can do it in, and they're doing a fine job. So hopefully we can get that straightened out and get them some more time to work on these things, because now they're going to have snow to deal with, people not shoveling their sidewalks. So I want to talk to them about how we're going to handle that, because it's going to be a big issue. So we're good with codes. Zoning.
Joe, I'm sorry. Actually, in light of the fact that the budget passed, the budget includes a line item for a 3rd code officer.
Right.
At $15 an hour, 6 hours per week.
Right.
So I'd like to make a motion at this time to advertise.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Billy, second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, now you guys like my budget.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. All right, thank you.
We have,
That's
okay, zoning. I've been talking with Flanagan. We have a lot of things going on. Again, I talked to you about some things in the zoning ordinance that need to be adjusted regarding some parking issues, some building issues, maybe possibly at one of our, how do I put this? One of our buildings that has a lot of people that stay in it, put it that way, that might have gargoyles by it. So we've got to look into some issues with that. We will talk more about that. That's going to have to be a work session thing, but he's doing what he can. But there are a lot of situations, and again, we ask that the public let us know of any work going on. I think we need to get back to the permit issue of Again, I just read Klein Township passed an ordinance regarding you work in our town, you need a permit. And you have to show us your insurance. So it's not just good enough that the state got you. Because, that's what happens is the state might get the guy who's doing it right, but the state doesn't get the guy who's coming into our town and just doing it fly by night. So we need to revisit that.
Yep.
Anybody have anything else on zoning?
No, I just wanted to mention out on the website, Freeland Borough Council official.blogspot.com, under the pages, there's a page for forms and applications. This includes our occupancy checklist, code Barry Isett applications for UCC construction, code enforcement complaint forms, landlord tenant forms, moving permit forms, and I think Leanne actually got us an electronic copy or a scanned copy of the zoning book. So I'll probably get that added out there as well. Folks, please utilize the website. You can print it off, fill it out, stick it in the mail, drop it off, whatever. And folks on council, if we need more things along these lines on the site, please let me know.
Okay, EMA update. Is Wilson with us? No, Wilson?
It looks like Wilson might not be here for once.
Okay. Well, we all know what's going on. Stay home, wash your hands. No restaurants, 10 people or less. Enjoy your Christmas, even though they say you shouldn't have that many people around, but just make sure you wear your masks while you're out, and that's all we can do.
Yeah. In the summer when we had the great park debate, we were sweating it over 48 total cases at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
The 18224 zip code as of today has 201 cases, with well over 100 of those happening in the last month or so. So it is still out there. It is still a thing. It's worse than it ever was. So please, everybody, just be vigilant.
Yeah, I mean, just as it is in the winter all the time, and why we get the flu is you sniffle, you rub your nose after you talk to somebody and or shook hands or picked something up at the grocery store, and guess what? Now you have it. So make sure you wear your gloves when you can, even in the store, keep them on. So, but take them off the right way and wash your hands anyway. So we all know this.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. I play one on TV. But it's crazy. I went to Lowe's and two people over there, about in their late 20s, 30s without their masks on. And it's just, I just want to say something. I just asked, can you throw them out? I said, and the girl said, no, we can't say anything to them. And I said, well, what are you going to do? But I double mask it personally at this point, because you never know. I think about, my mom's older, so that's the way I think about it. I may not get it, you may not get it, but I might give it to somebody who gives it to her, and then, who knows what's going to happen. So if we're good, the EMA update, Wilson's not here. Streets and sanitation, before we start with that, did a great job plowing. I know I'm not on Facebook, but we probably have a bazillion people on there complaining about something. They need to not do that. I was out walking around last night in the storm to check things out, and they did a wonderful job. And I would like to say this, we really need to consider the snow ban on Center Street. No cars. There were 11 cars on Center Street last night. 9 of them were between Main Street and Front Street. Now, let me say this, let me restart this. From Front Street to Carbon, there were 11 cars. 9 of them were from Front Street to Main. The rest was clear, no cars, and 2 of them, there were 2 down by Carbon Street on the even side, so that's fine. However, I would think that John and Lorne and whoever else was plowing out there last night really thought it was kind of great that no cars are on that street for 90% of that street, and how nice it was today that they could plow so close to both sides and just, we're ready to go the next day when there's some businesses that need parking. So I really think we need to revisit when there's a snow ban that we need to, no parking from Carbon to Front Street on Center, either side. I mean, if there was only 11 cars, apparently everybody found a place to put their car. And there was a second thing that I'll think of it, but that's number one. That's, I really think we need to consider fixing, and the parking in different directions. I know that the chief said that they use their discretion, but I saw a couple people shoveling their cars out on Center Street Hill, pointing up, and thought, this is a nightmare. I've said this before, I think our parking, we have that in the summer, that's great, park the right way, but starting November 1st, when we can put the snow ban into place until October or until April 1st, when it goes out, during those months, it should just be, an ordinance, a rule, whatever we have to, however we have to write it up, that you can park either way, because we don't know when the snow's coming. If it comes in October, then, you're SOL, but.
All right, but only on an incline?
Well, I mean, no, it doesn't matter to me on other streets too, but realistically, I mean,
Well,
where else
do you want somebody
it?
parking in the wrong direction on Center Street? Just because we just put it out there?
No, because that's a double line street. That's a totally different thing on a side street. Now, we're not going to get into the, it's been that way 100 years, or when cars came about, and all of a sudden it becomes a problem. And, live on that hill and watch the poor guy try to get out of his car. I felt bad.
I know, but I don't think anybody's gotten a ticket for it in several years. The discretion thing has kind of been working.
Well, no, I know people who've gotten tickets for it. So it's just, it would just be easier. I mean, I don't see the difficulty in this. I just do not see the difficulty. And if they're not getting a ticket for it, then, it's kind of a moot point to say, well, do you want them parking on Center Street like that? I mean, people don't do that on Center Street because they realize.
Well, because we're not putting it out there. We're not putting it out there. Hey, from November till April, just do whatever you feel like.
I disagree that the law says that in town that you can park on the opposite side. You said you'd present that to me, and I still haven't had it given to me where there's a rule that any street you can't park going in the opposite direction. And I say it's only on a double line street. Now, somebody presents that to me, I'll say, okay, then we can enforce that rule. But I just think they park on the wrong side on Center Street, they get a ticket, because it's a double lined Department of Transportation road, PennDOT road. It's totally different than our little Borough Street. So, and I just, if you see these people trying to pull out and get out, I mean, this was awful. And it just makes no sense that all of a sudden we got new people come in and suddenly it's a big problem. So, okay, with that said, is John with us, or is he out plowing probably?
No.
I just heard them go.
John worked 12 hours today plus. So he's at home resting up so that he could get back in there tomorrow and get back at it. I will start with the winter storm. So I want to thank the police department. They went ahead and adjusted their schedules to make sure that there was somebody in until 10 o'clock last night. That was not the original schedule. The reason they did that was to enforce the snow ban, which went into effect at 8 o'clock yesterday morning and didn't have really great compliance. Actually, I want to take another step back and thank the Water Authority for sending out multiple robocalls for us over multiple days. It was posted on the website. We sent it to the standard speaker, but I don't know if they ever actually got it in there or not. And there's actually some Facebook group owners who've kind of taken on the task that they want to try to get it out there. So it was out there a lot. Compliance wasn't great Wednesday morning. It's kind of like one of those unwritten traditions, along with the parking on the hill thing, that for the first storm, the police kind of try to educate people. So they'll go and they'll knock on doors, or they'll run license plates and get phone numbers and get in touch with people. Anybody that they were able to get into contact with was compliant, or they had to jumpstart their car and then get compliant, and they moved. They had to tow 7 vehicles yesterday. Most of them were out-of-state plates, and they just weren't able to chase anybody down. There was one guy who got there before, so he got the ticket, but not the tow. To go back to Center Street, there were two that were towed. There were two that were supposed to be towed this afternoon. One of them got towed, and the other guy saw the towing happening and got out there, so he just got a ticket. So the police did a really good job, helped us out. The Water Authority helped us out. John and Lorne plowed. When they ended their shift last night, they brought in at least 3 part-timers. The Stepanskis, I think Rich Lindsay was out again last night. I don't know if we had any gaps last night at all. If we did, it was 2 hours at most, but we've been plowing since the snow started. And in fact, at 6 o'clock, some more guys went back in. They might not go through the whole night because they're pretty dog tired too, and most of them have jobs. So kudos to everybody all around, council communicating with one another. Some citizens reached out to me, you know, police, the streets, the part-time guys, the citizens. You know, I think that everybody did the best they could with the manpower and the equipment that they had. Is there room for improvement? There's always room for improvement everywhere in life. Actually, Main Street got out of control today, so they went and cleared out the event center lot, and some of the people moved over there so they could bring the loader up and actually take some of the snow out. And we're going to consider that routine where we shut down a block, possibly Sunday night, Monday night, or Tuesday night, again, depending on manpower and equipment, and clear out the business district. I think we might have gotten 16 or more inches of snow. So it was just a lot of snow. So, you know, great job to all the employees. Really appreciate it. Any questions on that part of it? Okay. Asphalt plant closed down officially. So they're not making any hot asphalt anymore. They're only making cold patch. We do get cold patch because we do get potholes. They store it inside the building. Other than that, we're kind of shifting into winter mode. This week, those guys made sure that the plows were in order. We had an issue with one of them that it was having a hard time lowering. John figured out a way to get us through the storm. They'll have to come back to it. The spreaders, I think John had mentioned that they had these electronic spreaders that have some kind of a funky battery inside of them, and the battery dies, and they actually have to pull the whole thing apart, solder a new one in, and then reprogram it. So he switched one of them over to a manual for a few $100s. Manual spreader. It worked pretty well. And, you know, they're going to shift towards winter type projects. They have a lot of maintenance to do on the vehicles. The Caterpillar needs its annual maintenance. And I'm sure John will have a lot more for next month. So any questions on the streets report part of it? All right. County waste. We talked about this at the work session. I got a follow-up phone call from County Waste. I raised all the concerns that were raised during our meeting. So basically what they're proposing is coming in 1 day a week. That day is most likely Friday, and picking up everybody's garbage and everybody's recycling every week. So currently we have recycling every other week. I know my can gets very full, and we have it on different days as well. So sometimes folks are confused. They think that half of Center Street is one day and half's the other way. It hasn't been that way in a long time. We told them that we were concerned about, that we like the idea of more recycling pickup. We like the idea of 1 day. We just have concerns with putting out 2 of these big giant cans on 1 day, especially like on Center Street, where there might be multiple cans for a property. They heard the feedback, but they said that the majority, and they actually said 85% of their municipalities do garbage and recycling on the same day. And they're kind of saying that they're stressing that they recognize there's a problem. This is what they feel like their solution is. If it doesn't work out because there's too many cans out there or anything else, I told them that we want to have the option to switch back or to discuss something else. They said they treat us as partners. So at this time, I'd like to make the motion that we go ahead and switch to Fridays. You know, this gives us ammunition, right? If we go along with their proposal and it doesn't work out, we have a lot of leverage there to go back and complain. If we kind of ignore their recommendation, then we have a little bit of fault if things don't get better. So I'd like to make the motion that we switch to Fridays, garbage and recycling.
Before we go through with this motion, who is they? Because I talked to Danielle and I'm getting different information.
the person who initially reached out to Leanne and then found me somehow is Jonas Kreitzer. So Kreitzer's was our original vendor on our prior contract, and then Kreitzer's was bought out by County Waste. So County Waste took over the balance of the Kreitzer's contract, and then they took over this one. So we would be getting a different manager. So our manager from the summertime left altogether from County Waste, and we kind of had two guys who were working it sometimes. We would get one dedicated manager. I think his name is Charlie. Well, we're getting him regardless. And we would have a steady driver, except for vacations and things like that, where we've kind of had some different drivers coming through. So Danielle's name has not come up at all.
Okay, well, yeah, that's who I've dealt with since I've been dealing with garbage. So I would like to kind of put this off, at least, it's not pressing. It is an issue, but I'd like to see why I'm getting one story that Joan is telling, I guess you said, and Danielle's saying another story, and get, about the.
Well, can you tell, if we're gonna delay here, can you tell us what that other story is?
Is that they don't pick up 85% of their garbage on one day. I specifically said that to her, and she said, no, that's not what we do. She said, but I'll relay your information to, I can't remember, Jonas doesn't say, I don't know, maybe it was Jonas, but she said, I will relay your information to the person who takes care of this, and they will contact you, and they have not contacted me. And the only reason I called her is because what we talked about, half the recyclables were picked up, and then half were left. And then when I called, I think Friday, and then they came Saturday morning to straighten it all out. So she must have got in touch with them and told them we didn't get anything picked up because they were here Saturday morning. So I would like to straighten that out before we get into something. And again, today's a perfect example of, this storm is a perfect example of how difficult this is going to be with all this snow, so, and all the cars and all the, so I'd like to find out about, just to, hey, you can make the motion if somebody seconds it, there's nothing I can do, but I would like to put it off at least until next month. It's not a huge deal at this point. Who has their microphone on, please? Could you mute yourself? To be picked up on one day. It's the second that they make.
Yeah, I'd like to second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We get 3 ayes.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
No. Look at, see my
That's
Guys, you
2-2,
really
so
gotta
that's
mute your microphones, please. So we have
Mr. Mayor.
We have 2 yeses and 2 noes. Mr. Mayor, you would be the tiebreaker, please.
Mr. Mayor, are you with us? Are you off mute? All right, well, I guess unless he comes back later, it dies for now, so.
Yeah, it dies. Well, that's all right, because we'll just look into it tomorrow and we'll know very quickly. So let's move on to, where are we here? Committee reports. We had, you're good, you're done then. Fire, water, light and water, Mr. Joe, Mr.
Well, we had actually some exonerations.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I skipped that one. Okay. These people we discussed they still have their water meters in? Correct?
Yeah.
That's
right,
correct,
Leanne?
Yes, both
Okay.
water meters are still in.
Okay, so
All right.
somebody want to make, Matt, you know what you want to do, so I don't want to make the motion, but.
Yeah, I mean, we have to have some standards somewhere.
Well, that is the
So,
standard. If it's in, you gotta pay the garbage bill. So, I'm just gonna wait for you to make the motion and then, because I know, or someone that,
Well, we don't have to make a motion to not do it. There was no action taken. So otherwise,
so we will not exonerate their garbage bill unless they remove their, so this is in the minutes. We will not exonerate their garbage bill because they still have water meters in unless they remove their water meters and want to present this to us at another time. We will continue to bill them for garbage. Okay, that's 507 Washington Street and 614 South Street, Leanne. So yeah, that was in the minutes. Next, Firelight and Water now. Chief, you're up.
Fire department had 18 incidents for the month and was in service for 13 hours. And the department, along with myself, would like to thank the community and whoever took the steps to adopt a fire hydrant during this storm and help keep it clean in a 3-foot by 3-foot area around it, which allows us to access the fire hydrant quicker when there's deep snow. And again, I'd like to thank the community that stepped up to the plate and adopted a fire hydrant. So if anybody sees a fire hydrant that's not shoveled out and would like to adopt it, feel free, please. And again, thank you, and hope everybody has happy holidays and safe and healthy.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you. Wilson is unavailable, so we're gonna skip past that. Unless
I'm
you have
not sure if
something
I don't know if Leanne, we didn't have that report, right? Okay. Sorry. Disregard,
Okay.
Joe.
That's okay. Rec board. Anybody been in contact with the rec board about anything? Other than the gutters, which you've kind of resolving with John, nothing. We do have that issue that Dominic mentioned. That would be a rec board kind of thing where there is a big dip. Oh, and I'm sorry, there was one thing I wanted to add to our streetscape down there. When you get toward SureSave, there is an area where it's like a drive. They made the sidewalk so we can drive through to get back to where Garland was. We need to consider, and we'll talk more about this. You guys need to take a look at what I'm talking about. People in the community too, see what you think. But maybe putting something up there to block that, because there's really, the reason I say that is because we put this nice sidewalk in. Now you're gonna have people driving over that and it's gonna crack the sidewalk. And I know it's meant to be driven over, but that doesn't mean we should if we don't have to. And there really isn't a reason to go over that, as far as I know, because you can kind of get around it by going down towards SureSave a little more. So anybody wants to talk to me about that and have me show it to them, I'll gladly walk down there with them and show you what I'm talking about. But I think we should consider blocking that off just while it was on my mind. But if there's anything on rec board, does anybody have anything with rec board? I also, again, Matt and I think there was someone else were in favor of making that all concrete and not putting that grass area in there. I saw I wish I would be able to record like the old days. I don't have, whatever you get on Dish Network and you record things, but the old ways you can just record on your VCR. But there's a brick. I know we have memorial bricks for the tank, but there was a brick I saw with a little metal plaque on it, which was really wonderful. And I think it would be awesome if we could make that a memorial walkway from the Y all the way down to as far as we feel like we should go. People can donate money, and obviously we'd have to come up with And this is for citizens alike to give me some ideas on how might be a way to do this, who we should allow who you should allow to be memorialized. I mean, I know it's veterans from time to time.
Yeah.
but maybe-
Joe, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but hometown hero banners, there's a lot of interest in those, and there's just not a lot of polls left unless we get really random with it. So I've kind of always considered this to maybe be an alternative, which isn't to say that we wouldn't allow general members of the public, just like folks adopted benches and things over the years. Maybe it's just a separate section, continue in the veteran section and then have a general public section somewhere else. But I like the idea in principle.
Okay, thank you. So the idea would be we'd have to come up with something where we cut it off, so to speak. Like you can't just memorialize your dog or something like that. As much as I'd like to memorialize my dog, it would be kind of cool, but we got to keep something. But I'm thinking if we can do that, there'd be a lot of bricks in there, and that would raise a lot of money for the rec board, and that would be good money to be used to help fix that, to help update and upkeep the pavilion. So that's an idea I'm throwing out there, and this is for a citizens town idea. This we need, and the rec board obviously to come up with some. But please give your input to that to me. If you see me, you can call me, you can do whatever you need to do to get in touch with me and say, hey, let's try this, or maybe this would be a good idea. Because, the more people we have having their input in this, the better it will be. And it would be kind of a cool thing. And then plus we don't have to cut the grass. That's another good thing. So we can actually get some money out of it to help with that building, because we're going to need it. And we can't keep relying on grants all the time because they don't come through. So anyway, anybody else have anything for rec board? Okay. Acceptance of committee reports.
I'll make the motion.
That was Billy.
Yes.
Okay, Billy, do we have a second? To accept the committee reports, do we have a second?
I'll do it.
Matt, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, any unfinished business? None. New business and correspondence. We have a letter from the FBDA for reappointment. And that would be for, I didn't get a chance to look at the emails today.
It's Mike Hadzik for 5 years.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I talked to them about that. Okay, so would we like to make the motion to continue Mr. Hadzik's tenure for 5 more years on the Freeland Business Development Authority? Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Billy? Do we have a second? For Mr. Hadzik's reappointment to the Freeland Business Development Authority. Do we have a second? I'll make the second. Want to do a roll call, Leanne?
Joe Marmello,
Yes?
Matt Crone,
No.
Joe Palco,
No.
Bill DeFrancisco.
Yes.
Mr.
Two
Mayor?
yes, two no.
I'm sorry, Leanne, I gotta remember you're gonna say that. Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. He is appointed for 5 more years. Any new business and correspondence? Or, I did that already, I'm sorry. Any more new business and correspondence?
Yeah, I just had one more thing. In light of the fact that the budget passed and the budget has a line item in it for additional police officers. And this goes back to a few months ago with Mr. Polko, with the part-time police officers. I'd like to make a motion to advertise for full-time and part-time police officers. My understanding is that the process takes very long, especially for full-time officers. There's civil service test, and we need to figure out who our civil service commission is and how we go about that. There's interviews, there's background checks and such. So I'd like to make a motion to advertise for full-time police officers at the contractual starting rate, which I don't have in front of me right now, but we have it. And part-time police officers, which I believe is at
$18.50.
a rate to be determined by us, which I'd like to set at $17.50.
Yeah, I'd second that motion.
Roll call, Leanne.
Joe. Joe Marmello,
No.
Matt Crone,
Yes.
Joe Palco,
Yes.
Bill DeFrancisco.
Yes.
3 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the motion passes. Do we
Okay,
have
I'll get with Leanne.
anything else under new business and correspondence?
Nothing for me.
Okay, resolutions and ordinances.
We did it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Public input. Anyone?
Remember to unmute your phone if you'd like to speak.
Okay, no public input. We accepted Lynn's resignation prior, so we will be meeting with an executive session regarding some personnel issues and litigation. So just so the public is aware. And if we're good, then motion
Joe, I'm sorry. When do you want to do that? Not tonight?
right after this, if we could, please.
All right, I'll have to set up another Zoom, so bear with me for a couple minutes and keep an eye on your emails, everybody
Yep.
on council. And then, from the public, I'm coming up on the end of my first year on council. It's challenging, but if you want to do good in your community, you have opinions on things and things like that, now's your opportunity to step up. So please submit a letter, send it to Leanne. If you want to email it to me, I'll pass it along to council. And please, 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 we need you.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Excuse me. Second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A meeting is adjourned.
All right, thanks. Give me a couple minutes, guys. Talk to you in a few.